Okay, today I'm going to make my dark chocolate mousse. And the mousse that I like has egg yolks in it, I guess, which technically might make it a bit of a custard. But one of my favorite things when I'm cooking is to separate eggs. So I just make half on each side and I pour my little yolk back and forth until the white has kind of all fallen out. And when I do that, then I'm ready to cook my yolks for my mousse. And then for the chocolate part, I've got a little microwavable chocolate mixture of dark chocolate chips and butter and water. Now I have microwaved my chocolate mixture. It only takes maybe a minute. You can also do this on a double boiler on top of some hot water. But then the microwave does a fine job. So once this is smooth, I've got the dark chocolate ready to go in the mousse. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to add a little sugar to these egg yolks and a little bit of water, and we're going to heat them until about 150-160 degrees, just so the egg yolks are cooked. And then we put the two mixtures together, and then all we have to do is fold them into heavy whipping cream that's been whipped, and it makes a really great chocolate mousse. Okay, here I'm going to make the egg part of my mixture. I'm using the whisk from my new hand mixer. My goal is to make this sugar water yolk mixture even, so I don't end up with scrambled eggs. Usually I don't do a great job, and so there's occasionally little bits of egg in the mousse, but to try and minimize that, they don't taste that weird, but the texture should be as smooth as we can make it. So it's pretty well mixed, and I'm going to keep doing that, but I'm switching to this for a sec, just to get a feel for it. Just make sure I'm scraping the bottom. And I'm on a pretty low heat, just on 2 right now. But what we want to do is figure out at what point it will be at 150-ish. And so I'm gonna it's not very much liquid in there, but I want to kind of get a sense of what it's going to. Of course, I don't want the metal to be right on the metal, or it will be higher than it should be. So I'm kind of making sure it's in the liquid and moving about a little bit. And then just keep that heating. We have a little ways to go. Go up just a little bit. Let's go to 4. This is the new stove at the orchard, and I haven't used it before. We toasted stuff in the oven, and it turned out fine. It was really weird in the oven because there's no bottom element. There's a top element. Where's the bottom element? I'm only guessing that it's somehow below that metal, because otherwise, are you really getting all even heat just from the top? Samsung. I don't know. Okay, let's see if we're getting close. A few more minutes. Seems like it usually takes about 5 minutes. And once it's done, just combine it with the chocolate and set it aside to cool back down, because you don't want to put warm mixture into the cold whipped cream or it will flatten out. So we're going to cool this all back down before we put it together. Okay, I finished my egg yolk mixture, and I'm just mixing it in with the chocolate. It's all good for making a fluffier mousse. And then this is still quite warm, so it's still pretty runny, but it will even continue to thicken as it cools. If this were any kind of mousse besides chocolate, I might have to add to the whipping cream, I might have to add some gelatin to thicken it even more to get that thicker texture, but with chocolate, there's enough in the cocoa that it sort of stiffens everything up pretty well on its own. So I shouldn't have to do anything but add this to freshly whipped, really firmly whipped cream. And I like it pretty thick, so I whip the cream up pretty dry and then fold this into it. Okay, so here's the whipping cream. The recipe calls for 1 1/4 cups of it for this recipe, and this is a pint, so 2 cups, but I like extra, so I'm gonna go ahead and not measure it, but actually put most of it in there. Maybe reserving a little, maybe I'll whip up the whole thing and then I'll scoop out a little, so we have a little white whipped cream that I can use maybe with tomorrow's, whenever I do the cake bake. Also, you'll notice I've got them on some old frozen pops because I want to keep everything cold and this needs to be cooling. I can also like toss it in the freezer for a minute or the fridge, but I definitely don't want this warm when I combine. So now it just kind of goes. It's like, getting pretty thick. I usually go just a little further than this. If you kept going, it would literally turn into butter, but it's really hard to get to that point. So this is a pretty good thick amount, but I usually just go just a little beyond that level. Okay, I'm ready to combine my chocolate with my whipped cream. Then I'm going to try and put some in this piping bag for overnight so that it's ready to be piped onto my cake. And I've saved the egg whites because those will also be used in my cake when I get to that point. I'm not sure if I can do this with the video on. This needs to be folded in. Okay, we're pretty well folded in. I like to leave it a little stripey. This is actually the extra because I already got some in the piping bag. I'm gonna try and find a way to close that off and leave it overnight, and that way it will already be in the bag, but I'll have this extra in case the bag one doesn't work out for some reason. So there we go, it's a heavenly chocolate mousse. And you have to do the tasting. Delicious.